we spent our time in Philippians chapter 4, and we really just talked about how we as Christians ought to be handling stressful and anxious times like we found ourselves in. And we noticed that during the time of the writing of this book, that there were some very concerning things. Paul was in prison, and he didn't know if he was going to make it out alive. These Christians were very concerned for Paul because they love Paul. But Paul says, be anxious for nothing. And this book is just full of joyful and encouraging and helpful things for us. And so we noticed 2 last week. We're going to look at 2 today. And the first one we'll pick up in verse 8. He says, finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there's any virtue, if there's anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. He's talking about meditating on the good things and not the bad things. And so our mindset really just affects how we deal with any kind of circumstance. And I'm not talking about the power of positive thinking, and I'm not talking about eliminating any negative thought, like maybe not watching the news. We need to be informing ourselves. But I'm talking about how we need to spend a whole lot less time filling our minds full of the negativity and the immorality of this world, and spend a whole lot more time filling our minds full with the Lord. And so we need to fill our minds so full with the Lord that there's no room for Satan. Idle hands and too much time is usually our downfall. And so instead of spending our time binge watching shows that are useless or even hurtful, we need to spend more of our time in prayer, study, and meditation, filling our minds full of the Lord and things of the Lord. The world seems to be crumbling out from underneath our feet. And so we shouldn't let Satan in, though. Satan wants us to feel like we're failing in holding everything together. Satan wants us to turn to vices like alcohol or addiction or even our family to try to find stability during these times, when we really need to be turning to the Lord who holds everything together and filling our minds full of his things. And when we do, we're going to find peace. We're going to find the peace of God. And the second thing we find in verses 11 through 13, where Paul says that no matter what his circumstances are, he's content. And so whether he's full or hungry, whether he's isolated in prison or he's free, Paul's content. And so is that us? Are we content in any circumstance? Well, see, Paul recognized that his circumstances was given to him by the Lord. And if you turn to the Lord and find his help and his strength, he can make it through anything. Are we content in any circumstance, or do we just complain about everything? We kind of have this mindset in America especially, that if everything's not perfect, if everything doesn't go our way, then surely the Lord doesn't care about us. And that's simply not true. We need to look at it this way. One day, his people, those who belong to him, will be in heaven. And then when we're in heaven, none of our circumstances, none of this stuff will really matter. The coronavirus won't matter at all. We need to learn to be content now. We need to learn to have the I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me kind of attitude, including dealing with the circumstance that we're in.